for $5 billion, everyone could have got their home back and everything could have been settled. And no, nothing's been done.
Here's Joe Rogan succinctly framing what many of you feel, I believe, is that when there are disasters, domestic disasters, hurricanes, fires, floods, whatever, the resources seem to be scarce. The idea of scarcity is conveyed. Yeah, for the various wars across the world, that it could be argued, oh, none of your business and should be none of your taxes. Billions forever flow from your pockets into the military-industrial complex via the Pentagon to perpetuate unnecessary wars from which no one benefits. Here's Joe Rogan describing that problem that many of you are aware of.
Because all he would have taken is $5 billion, and they accidentally paid an extra $6 billion to Ukraine. They're like, don't worry, just a mistake. There's an accidental $6 billion.
What, to help Maui?
Yeah, rebuild entirely. So for $5 billion, everyone could have got their home back and everything could have been settled. And no, nothing's been done. But yet we keep sending money to these other countries.
Well, how come why don't these countries throw us a buck every now and then? All we've been doing is paying their bills for the last 78 years.
Here's the thing. Even if you are supporting the idea of sending money to Ukraine, I'm not arguing against that. I'm saying they accidentally sent $6 billion there and no one cared. And they didn't send $5 billion to Maui.
Right.
And they could have.
An accidental $6 billion oversight. We got to start checking our bank balances correctly as individuals and as nations. At some point, oughtn't it be acknowledged that a nation's government ought be administrating on behalf and according to the will of its population, because it aggregates the revenue of that nation via taxes, and therefore it should govern in accordance with their will. Now, let me know in the comments and chat, would you rather that excess $6 billion payment ended up rebuilding Maui, or was preemptively spent preventing fires in California, or was used for floods or hurricanes across Florida or New Orleans or whatever? How do you imagine that these resources continually end up in extraordinary end up being spent in circumstances and situations that look like there are secondary benefits that we don't understand? For example, isn't it weird that Hunter Biden just has that job at Burisma? And it weird, like a little later, tangential, but I think relevant, that Scott Gottlieb, who used to be the FDA commissioner, is now working at Pfizer. Do you see a kind of vague connection between that trajectory and the events of the pandemic? There's something going on. And here, gosh, I've said in 1,000 words what Julian Assange said so beautifully in a few. The function of government is to take public money and to put it into private hands.
Because the goal is not to completely subjugate Afghanistan. The goal is to use Afghanistan to wash money out of the tax bases of the United States, out of the tax bases of European countries, through Afghanistan and back into the hands of a transnational security elite. That is the goal, i.e. the goal is to have an endless war, not a successful war.
There's something to consider. There's something for us to consider. Pentagon says accounting error provides $6.2 billion of Ukraine military aid almost by mistake. Pretty astonishing.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.